right? I go live, I make them in the form of recorded videos. Some of them I put on the social media, YouTube, everywhere. Then I'll get some more, diffusion. My culture is getting diffused. And tomorrow, my people also would like to, copy from me, or my children will follow my legacy. And the entire society is like, many of the people nowadays are becoming YouTubers, and many people are setting up home studios in their houses because of the need for making videos and spreading the word. I may be speaking like Americans, and suddenly my accent has slightly changed, and you can see the difference in. So immediately लोग विलायती हो गया भाई, फिरंगी हो गया, फिरंगी बातें कर रहे हैं, थोड़ा फिरंगी हो गया. Then I started saying, this one culture picks up the idea from the other culture. This culture gives some culture traits to the other culture. What is that other culture? It is a neighboring culture. Between the neighboring cultures, naturally, you have a lot of exchange. And the German diffusionists naturally came as a reaction, or a kind of, improvement over. They have something like, improvised the British diffusionists, or British diffusionism. What exactly is this improvisation? The improvisation we are talking about is about, earlier we have noticed these British people said that across the world there is only one center of civilization. That was somewhere, this Africa. And whereas the German scholars said it is not only Africa but also America, United States, then South America, right? Then Europe, then Asia, okay, and also Australia. It is not that they have not mentioned any continents, but I am saying, like, we have just in a diagrammatic fashion, they are representing this, that the German people did not agree with the contention of the British diffusionists that the world has only kind of, one center, or one culture center from where everything originated. It's absolutely not acceptable. They said, instead of this one school, they have said, there are many culture, or the centers. In fact, they call them as, many culture circles. See, why they have called them as culture circles? Because according to them, culture always grows at some point of time, and it originates somewhere here, and it starts, growing in concentric circles. So that becomes, your culture circle. So it originates at some point of time. It may go this way, this way. If you map from above, it looks like it grows in a concentric circle, or concentric circles gradually spreading from inside out. It's something like, inside out. Okay, this is fine. How diffusion happens, they have mentioned, and they have said that there are many culture centers. This is the main point, not just only one as proposed by the British scholars. In fact, there are now, if you see, there are great civilizations in the world. You also know the great civilizations which were like living thousands of years back, 5,000 years ago. Egyptian civilization was there, Mesopotamian civilization was there, which was also known as Sumerian civilization, Indian civilization, or Indus Valley civilization. In China also civilizations thrived. So minimum 4 5 तो उधर ही हो गए ना. So 4 5 circles minimum will form, and they from there, this for example, this is India. India map उतना अच्छा नहीं डाला ना, अभी उसमें डाल देते हैं, देखो. In India, right? This is India, and India, from India, many culture traits diffused out. For example, it has gone to this side, and Southeast Asia, many countries are there. Many countries exist in Southeast Asia. And from Australia, some cultures emanated. This is Tasmania. Some circles have grown, right? And from here it has grown, from here it has grown like this. And in Africa, maybe if you take Egypt, it has grown this side, and it has gone to Europe, it has gone to Asia. Okay, and people have crossed over from Eurasian continent to America. So यहाँ पे यहाँ ये जो border होती है ना, this border comes and attaches here. So from here people came into America. So from America, North America, people have gone to South America. So like that, culture has spread into different directions. So this is the mode of diffusion. This is the way culture spreads from one part of the world to the other. So there are many culture circles according to them. So in German, these people, this school of thought was also called as Kulturkreis school because of its stress on the culture circles. The other names, for example, the names of many names were given to this school. For example, one name was Culture Circle School. The school was called as Culture Circle School. And in Germany, Culture Circle was called as, in German, Kulture, Culture Kreis. Culture Kreis School, Kreisc, Culture Kreis School. And that same Culture Kreis was also known as Culture District, Culture District School. And since these people used history, so they also came to be known as, Culture Historic School. Because they showed interest in the history. Now if you see, when this trait is going from one place to the other, and they were focusing on where it has originated and where it is going. The German scholars basically, right, focused on where a culture where a culture trait where a culture trait originates. I'll tell you about a culture trait in a while. Okay, where a culture trait originates. These people were interested in explaining where a culture trait originates and where it has gone or going, where it has gone or it is going. So that means they are interested in the places of origin and destination. We have noted earlier. There is a place of origin and there is a place of destination in any kind of a diffusion process. So these German people or German scholars and thinkers have spoken about the diffusion of the traits right from the origin and the destination, the travel. So it takes time also, right? If some kind of culture trait originates in some continent, one continent, and by the time it reaches another continent, and there also people adapt it or adopt it, they welcome it, and they make part of their culture. For example, we were talking about biryani and vada pav, that it must have traveled a lot of distance, right, thousands of kilometers. When a trait or some kind of a cultural practice travels a lot of distance, naturally it will take time. And whenever we are going back into the time to explain something, we take the help of history. So history जब भी काम आता है ना, so it is called as culture historic school. That is the reason this school was also called as culture historic school. So many names are given to this school of thought. One is culture circle school because they have said many culture circles developed around the world, right? And in German it is called as Kulturkreis. In because they were talking about small areas like districts. So geography, they were taking into account geography also. So this school of thought is also known as Culture District School. And lastly, it since it takes time into account where the place, because for a trade to travel some place from the origin and place of destination, it will take some time. And if you want to trace from where it has come, you have to travel back in the annals of history. Since you are taking the help of history, this school is also known as historic school or culture historic school. ये पहले नोट कर लीजिए आप. Instead of, as we have noted, instead of this one, we can always talk about circles. Now, as we have noted, one circle here, 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 like the Olympic five circles. Culture was emanating at one point of time, may not be at exactly the center, but we are, for diagrammatic purpose, we are representing that in the center, okay, or somewhere else. Then it starts moving in like this, and you can also depict like this, because it has to travel within itself, correct, from From the circle itself, it has to travel outside. We are talking about one culture trait. So, what is a culture trait? I need to explain to you. Then from here, see, over a period of time, these culture traits are passed on from like this. Okay, from here in the reverse also. Some traits travel in the reverse also. And यहाँ से यहाँ आ गया, then this fellow travels here, this. So there is no boundary, okay, right? Every culture trait follows in a gradual manner a route which is closer, and it takes the route by the sea travelers, businessmen, traders. Usually, these kind of forces travel throughout the history, and that's the reason we have got the benefit of the best of the world, and based upon the acceptance of the people. It is basically whether people accept that particular culture trait or not, or whether they want to modify that particular culture trait or not. That is also a point to be considered. So, taking these into consideration, these diffusionists examine many detailed ideas about culture traits and their diffusion. So, what is culture traits? Now, we will definitely get a question. Culture trait. This can be understood as a most basic or a basic cultural elements. If you raise a question, what is culture trait? You can consider it as the most basic cultural element that is part of a culture. Okay. Now imagine we have a. I need to draw another diagram for this. You just write down that point. Now I'll draw something here. Okay. Now let us understand some idea here. There is one culture trait. There is another culture trait. There is another culture trait. These culture traits are actually going and becoming. That means several culture traits are actually going and they form a culture complex. A culture, many culture traits give rise to a culture complex. Then there is another culture complex. That means it is also formed of several culture traits. Culture trait 1, culture trait 2. You can give the numbers also. Culture trait 3 or culture trait 4. Even for this also there is a culture trait 4 or 5. So these several culture traits form together culture complexes. And several culture complexes, or at least one or two, these several culture traits and these culture complexes will make the culture pattern of a culture. CP means culture pattern. That means you can see a clear pattern, or sometimes it is also known as configuration. That means a kind of a design. You can see a clear larger design in a culture because of there is a very clear cut separate identity of that particular culture. It is formed of some culture complexes. These culture complexes are in turn formed by the basic cultural elements called as culture traits. First up diagram complete kar lo, then I'll explain what exactly are these in your simple understanding. What are culture traits? For example, now I am using this mic. I'm speaking this mic with this mic, or I'll with this mic, and also with the camera, with the software, with the laptop, lightings, this pen, this board. This pen is a culture trait. This board is a culture trait. These lights are culture traits. This laptop is a culture trait. The camera is a culture trait. The mic is a culture trait. Are you getting this? The basic element of a culture. If I combine all of them, क्या हो गया? Was it is it any longer simple, or has it become complex? Is it simple or complex? Now if I am talking about only this pen with which I am writing on the board, then that is simple. When I individually talk about this board, that is simple. Light simple, then sound simple, everything is simple. But when I combine all of them, it will become complex. So several culture traits becomes a culture complex. Now, what is a pattern now? If I make this kind of small studio and like this, I make an entire ecosystem. I make videos, I share with you, I upload them on the app, right? I go live, I make them in the form of recorded videos. Some of them I put on the social media, YouTube, everywhere. Then I'll get some more, diffusion. My culture is getting diffused. And tomorrow, my people also would like to, copy from me, or my children will follow my legacy. And the entire society is like, many of the people nowadays are becoming YouTubers, and many people are setting up home studios in their houses because of the need for making videos and spreading the word. In Bihar recently, one collector of a district has, he has selected a community hall like that. He has set up several computers and a studio for that, for the benefit of the youngsters, so that they can make videos and earn some money and recognition from YouTube. So आजकल ऐसा भी हो रहा है. That means it has become a pattern. ठीक है, a design or a configuration. That means if you see from a distance, you can clearly see that this society is full of this YouTube, as well as social media, video making, and the entire content is distributed among the society, and the society is getting benefited. These people are also getting benefited, and a lot of employment is created, lot of revenue is generated, economy is getting better. Some taxes are also paid to the government. The sales of these units has gone up, and it has become a big thing. इतना बड़ा हो गया कि like it has become a pattern. ठीक है, यहाँ तक क्लियर है, right? That means this is the smallest unit, the basic culture trait. Now, if I see this first time I go to America, in India this pen was not there. When I went to America 10 years back, in India nobody was using this studio, no, neither this board nor this pen. But in America people are using. I pick this pen and come here and start using it. I'm just giving you an idea. That means I picked up a single culture trait. I've stayed in America for you know, several years and months. Then I'll pick up the entire kind of a complex, not only pen, because I think pen after some time it will give me problem. So I pick up this board, these lightings, the sound, the camera, the mic, everything, and the entire setup I pick from America and come here. Okay, that is culture complex I brought. Then I brought an entire kind of ecosystem here, and I become the pioneer in this field. That means I have created a new culture pattern here. In the same way, I can also give you one more example of how culture complexes and traits can be understood. So, what is a culture complex? The same American example I'll give. I am a person who got employment I've got a tourist visa to America. I've gone to America, I've toured around places, New York, California, major cities. I've met some relatives and friends. Sorry. And it is a common place that I stay there for about 15 days or 1 month. I come back. Definitely, I will pick up one culture trait minimum, or I pick up 3, 4 culture traits which are unrelated. Okay, I may be speaking like Americans, and suddenly my accent has slightly changed, and you can see the difference in for some days. Then again, it will come back to Indian accent. So immediately लोग विलायती हो गया भाई फिरंगी हो गया फिरंगी बातें कर रहा है यार थोड़ा फिरंगी हो गया. Then I start using more of I am using more of napkins or tissues, and I am also using some um, क्या बोलते हैं ना toilet papers in my toilet. That is, people laugh again, people get adjusted, and after some days, right, some of them may retain. I may not retain the toilet paper business because we are not used to that in India, but these American fellows cannot live without that. I may retain some idea, and others I may forget. Now, second scenario two. Scenario two, I go to America. I work there for 2, 3 years because I got a visa. Right, I worked there for 5 years or something like that. Then I come back to India. I earned decent money and came here. Then I get what? Now, do I get only culture traits? Now, answer me. What I'm expected to bring? Only culture traits or something else? what kind of things what kind of this thing I'll bring to India. I lift the whole, the entire culture. I lift the entire culture complexes, and I'll plant here. Correct. This time, exactly. I'll pick up culture complexes, and this time, if I bring 100 items, I mean, 100 different practices, cultural items, food habits, exercise, regimen, ये वो सब उनका style, उनका materialism, ये सब लेके आ गया. So उसमें से there is a chance that I may retain about a dozen or I mean, half dozen or 2 dozens after 5 years because I've stayed there for a long period. Now I'll go to America. The third scenario, scenario number three. I go to USA. I get permanent citizenship, a green card, etc. Then I settle there. And what will I get in my lifetime? In about the next 10 years, 20 years, I become almost completely Americanized. If not 100%, I almost like become Americanized. What I'm getting now, what I'm picking up, a complete American culture pattern. अभी समझ आया सब topic? Because these ideas again, these 2 3 words, culture trait, complex, culture pattern, configuration, will be again discussing in some other areas in the syllabus. Okay, so like this, culture traits also diffuse, culture complexes also go, entire culture patterns also go with the people, because people are the vehicles, right? People are the vehicles through trade, migration, war, conquest, and many other vehicles. These vehicles, what are vehicles? These culture traits travel from one place to the other place. This is point of origin and this is point of destination, right? How they are going from one place to the other. This is a vehicle. The vehicle means the one which takes it forward. So this may be usually trade. Usually during the old civilizations, we all know our Indus Valley people also have traded with the Mesopotamian people and Egyptians. You have studied that in your history classes, correct? And many times these traders who go there, they take the culture trait from here, they will plant the culture trait there. That means some people, if they like, for example, Indian curry or jo roti banane ka style, this fellow also replicates there. He may not be getting the same food, so he starts cooking. Some of the people in that civilization pick up. Similarly, this fellow goes, when he goes there, he also sees something nice there. He'll pick up that culture trait, maybe dates or maybe some other food item. They'll pick up that from there and they'll plant it here. So through trade, through immigration मैंने बताया आपको, or migration, because people migrate from place to place, they completely change their place of residence. And also there are other vehicles like war, conquest. Conquest means completely like I win one new kingdom. I come from some other place and I win a completely new area. And don't you think I will plant my entire culture pattern in that society, new society? Gradually, one by one, day after the other, month after the other, year after the year, decade after decade, century after century, like the Mughal culture came to India. The different like cultures like Lodis, Afghans, the Mongols, right from Mongolian invasions, Mughals, Afghans, ये सब इन लोगों का culture India में है ना, and they have become almost like culture patterns, entire culture patterns in India. So this is how conquests and British, of course, the biggest culture pattern, the Western civilization. The Western culture is nothing but the implanted or highly diffused form of culture pattern that has come from the West, from the British. Thanks to their colonial rule, we have got all this. Today we are speaking to each other in English only for only because of the British rule. If French could have overtaken British, we would have been speaking in French now. French could have become the lingua franca of all the the entire kind of the linguistic communication between different people. Like because in India we don't have a common medium. Hindi तो थोड़ा थोड़ा चलता है, लेकिन not in every part of the country. Okay, so that is the reason we should be getting this much clarity. So when these anthropologists speak, they only speak about the concept. They speak in technical languages. But for me, people like me, my job is to make them understand in your language, in your simple understanding. So my job is to study these complex things and terminologies and make them something like a cakewalk to you guys. Okay? So ये हो गया. Now we will talk about one by one each scholar. Who are the important scholars and all in the German school of diffusionism? The important scholars are, in fact, there are four people, four in number. These people are right from Friedrich Reitzel. In fact, easy to remember. Spelling also, I am very particular. So you see, there are two words, known words to you. You cut it, you have two different words, and easily you can remember. This is nothing but the Frederick in English. English वाले जो भी Frederick बोलते हैं ना, the same Frederick is Friedrich in German. Friedrich Ritzel. We don't call Friedrich, but it's actually Friedrich Ritzel. Then Leo Frobenius. Leo Frobenius, the student of Ritzel. Third person is Fritz Greipner. Fritz Greipner, and last one is Father Wilhelm Schmidt. This pronunciation is developed. Schmidt. Schmidt is nothing but Smith. Wilhelm is nothing but William. See how from English to German how things change. हम लोग easily identify कर सकते हैं उसको. Frederick is nothing but like your Friedrich or Frederick. Leo Frobenius, same. We don't have any common name in English. Fritz Greipner, Fritz, Fritz Greipner. Father Wilhelm means William. Schmidt means Smith. Something like easy to connect. Okay, these are not any extraneous names. These are German names. Slowly, they will take time for us to digest. जल्दी लिख लो आप ये नाम. Just type done once you're done with this. In that, the first scholar is a pioneering scholar. As we noted, the names also almost in the same order. These people's ideas go forward. So, what exactly are the contributions and ideas of Frederick Reitzel? This man spoke about a concept called as anthropogeography for the first time, because he was interested in the spread of cultures of humans between neighboring countries or communities, neighboring geographical regions. And naturally, when people are living side by side, what can happen? What is anthropo here? Anthropo involves, as you know, even in our basic word anthropology. The word anthropo comes from the term anthropos, Greek term anthropos, which means man or human. So this is human. What is geography? Geography. So human geography. So whenever you are talking about human geography, that means it is about the cultures which are existing side by side. When cultures exist side by side, right? What they do naturally, there is something called as in Hindi आदान प्रदान. In language में हम लोग सीखते हैं. पता नहीं आपको याद है कि नहीं? In many kind of occasions in school and colleges, when we talk about language, there is something called as give and take, because no culture or no language is a isolated thing. This one culture picks up the idea from the other culture. This culture gives some culture traits to the other culture. What is that other culture? It is a neighboring culture. Between the neighboring cultures, naturally, you have a lot of exchange of the ideas. So cultures existing side by side have some or share some culture traits or common culture traits. That means through what it has happened, what is the vehicle, what is exact process that is responsible for this sharing of common right culture traits. Yes, इसका क्या नाम दोगे आप? What is that process which enabled this kind of sharing of common culture traits between these neighboring cultures or neighboring societies? ये क्या है इसका नेम क्या है? And of course you can answer that with this help of this geography, anthropogeography. This man also wrote history of mankind, or in German Volker Kunda. See, this man spoke about not only anthropology but also history and also uh, geography. Everything is meeting. He spoke about three common subjects, very regularly spoken about subjects: history, geography, and anthropology. Indirectly, anthropology. And he also gave a concept called as Formen Gedanke. That is a kind of a concept. He made it central to his idea of diffusion. Answer is diffusion. Earlier I have asked you a question, right? The answer for that question is diffusion. So through diffusion, culture traits spread from one neighboring culture to the other culture. As simple as that. So what is this forming Gedanke? We will note.